So it's going to be a significant test for Carson Beck as we close out October and get to the most challenging part of Georgia's schedule. Georgia will play Florida, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Tennessee, teams that are a combined 21-5, um, which is a pretty good run if you think about it. Three of those four teams are ranked. So much for Georgia not playing a very challenging schedule. Now that though that Brock Bowers is going to be out for those games, more likely than not, certainly for several of them. How is Carson Beck going to react to this? How is he going to change anything or adjust? I guess you could say. Keep in mind that Bowers has had 41 receptions, 567 yards, four touchdowns, and is averaging 81 yards a game receiving. That's a lot. So what's going to happen? Obviously, Oscar Delp, someone who's going to have to really step up. He's had 13 catches for 160 yards with two touchdowns. He's averaging about 23 yards a game. But for me, I think part of this is that Georgia's run game is going to have to continue to play well. Guys like Deshaun Edwards, Kendall Milton, Dylan Bell. You're going to have to get guys like Andrew Paul back, Roger Robinson. If they can come back, that would be a big deal. Cash Jones has played a lot this season, but Dylan Bell and Roger Robinson have the same or more carries. Andrew Paul has one fewer. So if you can just get some health back there, that would be a big deal, and that would help you on with the run game. But this is one of the most explosive and one of the best offenses in the country. And I do think it's a legitimate question. How and when will they miss Brock Bowers? It'll be stuff like those jet sweeps. They were using him in a wildcat. It won't be if Mike Bobo's doing things well, it won't be obvious that Brock Bowers is gone. Oscar Delp is a very good tight end. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Lawson Lucky wasn't recruited for nothing. And so the guys are still there. It does matter that you're losing Beck. There's just all there is to it. I mean, I don't see how anyone with a straight face could say that that's not a big deal. Lawson Lucky's not had a reception yet that counted. I think he did have one that was called back or something like that. I'm trying to remember what happened there. But guys like Arian Smith got to step up and make catches when they're there to be made. He's dropped two balls that would be huge, long catches. Mekhi Muse has got to have steadier hands when the ball is in his hands. Latt McConkey only has 9 catches this season. Now he's only played in 3 games. So there's a lot to go, there's a lot of options still. Bowers won't be back for a little bit of time. And you've got, Rob Thomas, Dominic Lovett, Latt McConkey. Those are all guys who CJ Smith played well when he's really been asked to do some stuff. So there's guys out there that Carson Beck can turn to and say, hey, I need you today to really pick it up. But I think it's going to take a collective, it's going to be everybody. It's not just going to be Carson Beck. Mike Bobo is a big part of this. And, one of the reasons I think that Carson is hitting nearly 74% of his passes is he's had the ability to lean on the veteran presence of Bowers. Latt McConkey's getting out there now. Marcus Rosemary-Jack-Saint for sure. But there's no hiding that you're losing, Georgia's best playmaker. Could you attack more down the field? I think they will try to probably run a little bit more often. And if you look at, just comparatively speaking, what Georgia's been doing in the run game, lately it's been pretty significant. These last 2 games for sure. They went for 291 against Vanderbilt. They went for 173 against Kentucky. That's a lot. They only went for 108 against Auburn, 107, against Auburn. But then the 2 games before that were 188 against UAB and 190 against South Carolina. So they're averaging a significant, they're averaging not 200, it's pretty close though, yards a game rushing in the SEC. I mean, that certainly could be the key to losing any player is, oh, well, we're just going to saddle up and run. If you can run for, 173 against Kentucky, you're hanging in there pretty well. Yeah, they are at 190 yards a game rushing in the SEC. That's a lot. That's just in SEC games. So I think you're going to see a lot of. Um, I think you're going to see a lot of focus on the run. Uh, Try to obviously have explosive plays with guys like Marcus Ladd, Lovett. Uh, there are explosive plays. I mean, Aaron Smith's got to make the catch, and if you do that, those are game changing, situations and opportunities. You saw what happened with him when they were playing Ohio State. Aaron Smith made a game changing reception, and he's had the chance to do that against South Carolina this year and against Vanderbilt, and both those balls were not caught. The one at Vanderbilt, I just don't know how he didn't catch that ball. I think it was South Carolina. It might have been somewhere. I think it was South Carolina, but those have got to be receptions. But the plays are there. And Bowers is very good, don't get me wrong. But it's not like, Georgia's still going to have a lot of options out there. They're going to have plenty of ways to, there's going to be plenty of guys open. I mean, Brock Bowers exclusively does not um, change everything. You still got a real problem when you're going up against Georgia's offense. They've been very good. Now, if you can't run the ball, like let's just say that Florida, which is the good news here is this happened coming into a bye. So you have, this stretch of time to adjust. And it's not like you can't play tight end as a position. You can still do that. But you're losing again. The basics here is you're losing 90 yards a game. And Oscar was at 23. So where do those other 60-ish yards come from? That's the question. They go to Marcus? Do they go to Ladd McConkey? Probably go to Ladd McConkey. I don't think that, you can't really expect Ladd to go for 90 yards a game. But you could expect for Ladd to go for 60. He's at 30. Let's see, he's at 35 right now. You can expect him to go for 60, and that's another 30-ish. And then you're looking for another 30 yards that you're spreading out between Marcus, Rara, Oscar, and Marcus Rosary Saint. So that's not really, that's not really that complicated of an ask. And I think that that's the part that Carson's going to have to navigate. How do you, as a guy who's not super experienced, adjust? They showed that they could adjust against South Carolina and against Auburn. But now Brock Bowers was a very real part of that against Auburn. And, those 10, 15 targets, they're not going to him anymore, right? So I'm not sure, we're just going to have to see what this is going to look like for Georgia and Carson and everyone involved. I mean, I think that this is why you pay the money for Mike Bobo to be there. This is what all the money for Kirby Smart and the reputation. It's, it's for moving around these situations. I mean, you're playing football. Guys are going to get hurt. It doesn't matter if you're talking about they're playing on turf or natural grass or, whatever it is. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. It's a physical sport. It's a sport where your season can end at any moment. And injuries are part of this sport, just like it are in every other sport, but very much so in football. And, it's up to Kirby and Mike and Carson to get Georgia where they got to go. If you can run the ball efficiently and effectively, if you can continue to run the ball for 190 yards a game in league play, it's going to be hard for someone to stop you. With Carson Beck, or I mean, excuse me, Brock Bowers or not. The other question is, how much will it matter that Carson, excuse me, that Brock Bowers is out for the run game? I mean, I think that's going to matter too. He is a very good um, blocker. He is a very willing blocker. It's sometimes it's not just that he's very willing; he's out there whipping people. So all that stuff matters, and it will be part of the gumbo moving forward that Georgia will have to work with to get through this stretch of games. Florida, with I think with two losses, Mizzou has one, Tennessee with one, and Mississippi with the loss to Alabama. So this is definitely a very difficult stretch. Um, I don't think that people should plan on Brock Bowers playing in any of these games necessarily. I don't think the Tennessee game is necessarily out of the picture, but typically these are 4 to 6 week recoveries, and that Tennessee game is 5 weeks away. So I don't think that was necessarily out of the question, but it's his body, and he's going to have to respond how he does. And in the meantime, it'll be up to Carson Beck, Mike Bobo, Kirby, and et cetera, to get this thing pointed in the right direction, wear the other team out with the run game, and connect on passes uh, when they're there. That's going to be the critical part. Can you execute on offense without your best player? We're about to find out.